All right.
Nope, go ahead. I'm sorry. Take two.
All right. So we are back again for another episode. God, how many episodes is this now? Like,
I lost count, man. I'm just going with it.
that's such a great feeling, isn't it?
It is. It
like,
is.
what? Like again, I'm always gonna be shocked that we have like a whole podcast that has like episodes, and it's like we've done this on such a consistent basis.
I know. You know what? That is our friendship. It's been based on consistency. You know, like in Grenada every Sunday here. Well, maybe not Sunday, but like one day of the weekend. We've up to this point we've always had something to release.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, so Blair, when he was in Grenada for med school, me and him made a pact that we would talk once a week, and it'd usually went down to Sundays. And I don't think we might have missed one Sunday, and you were there for 2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was a whole, yeah, we did. Every Sunday we made at least an hour out of our day to talk to each other.
Yes.
And that is the testament to our friendship.
We are great adult friends.
We really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that being said, what's our topic today?
And what kind of topic is this? Is it a field of study, maybe?
I feel like,
or is it a B?
I feel like today's a B episode.
Oh, no. Today's a B episode. You about to know us a little bit more.
Today is definitely a B episode. And I think we summed this one up as the 4-letter word.
The 4-letter word. Which one is it? There's a few 4-letter words.
Lust.
That's probably more fun.
No, not that one. There's another word that starts with L.
Love.
Oh, I was thinking of lies.
Lies.
No.
That's probably more fun too. Let's go with that one.
No, love.
Okay.
Today's topic is love. But before we dive down into that topic, remember, like, subscribe, comment,
Share.
Please do share. We are trying to grow, breaking and entering the podcast, and we can only grow that through your support. So be like Peggy and binge watch all of our episodes.
Binge watch like everyone. It takes like half a pound of pressure to click a like button.
Exactly.
So
And this is coming from a person who's not a physics man.
I had no idea how much a half a pound of pressure is, but don't break your phone, okay? Don't do that. Just get it done.
So when in doubt, be like Peggy.
Yep.
She lit up the podcast, and so
yes.
can you. Okay, so the 4-letter word. What does that 4-letter word mean to you, Blair?
Heavy question. Okay. Okay, I guess like the simplest definition to me, because I feel like this is something that humanity has been trying to define for a very long time, and honestly, I don't know that I've ever really heard a very adequate definition. But I think that it is probably seeing the best in someone else and wanting the best for them and willing to give your energy in order to have that happen.
Wow. Have you ever seen that?
I've done it, but few and far between. There are a few great love stories, and I think one of them is the love story between my parents. So I see that, and those are my role models when it comes to that, which is why I will not settle when it comes to love or being with someone, having a wife. So
God, how okay? Because I know your parents obviously quite well, and having to be raised around that, like, how has that really affected you and your ideals of love?
it developed me to I don't know. So there's like in the Bible, it's like slow to anger, like quick to kindness, kind of deal. And I saw that with my dad, like all as I was growing up, like taking the anger from someone else and allowing it to just dissipate, and you still like communicating your love and good feelings through that. Like that's powerful to me. Like there was a movie called Face Off. I know I'm getting into this a little early, but
At least it's not a kung fu reference, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what? I don't
Kung
like this
Fu
hate.
Panda.
Back me up, Peggy. Back me up.
Peggy
Okay.
just rolled her eyes for all those who could not see.
This is not cool. I feel ostracized over here. Anyways, Face Off. John Travolta in this.
Nicolas Cage, John Travolta?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. But him and his wife had something. It was like this calming. It's almost like a pantomime, but he would like run his fingers over her face. It's like, you know, you could be getting worked up and like, I'm worried about this, and then he just kind of like, and he's like, bring her in, you know, and like embrace with that. And I don't know, I think having that kind of relationship where just your presence and just like being able to do like one movement communicates and has more influence than what maybe like hours of talking to someone else would bring. And that's just through your connection and emotion between the two of you.
Now, are you sure you
Okay.
wasn't just saying like, okay, now it's time for you to shut up?
No.
Okay.
I mean, yes, I am sure that is not what it was.
Oh.
I'm sure.
Okay.
What about you?
Which question?
Both. You gotta catch up.
What is love?
Don't hurt me. I know.
what's it called?
Peggy's
I think-
over there dancing.
Wedding Crashers had a good definition of love. It's love is recognizing your
soulmate with
the
another
counterpoint of your soul in another.
person. Yeah.
So I really like that definition because it's almost like you can see yourself in that person. And at the end of the day, like I like to think that even though we are very we try to be unselfish as a society, majority of our actions,
Okay.
or at least, sorry, we try to put on a mask of unselfishness as a society that
There we
our
go.
our
That's
number one principle is to be selfless, when at the end of the day, majority of the time, we're being selfish for everything we do. So when you see yourself in someone else, it becomes like, I want that person to thrive because I can see me thrive.
I see.
And so, and it becomes like you take your tools and you try to water that seed of yourself in that other person. And through the process, and this is really where I think it becomes love, you're pouring out the water that you could be watering yourself into another person. Mm-hmm. And then you stop seeing the seed of yourself and you start seeing really the tree that you two are becoming together. So I think that's where it becomes very beautiful and noble and all of that jazz. So I would say that's what I want to do. I would want to find another person who I am willing to unwater myself for.
Okay, that was such a
Well,
interesting verb. Okay.
Unwater for right now. A person who I'd be willing to give my sunlight to. A person who I'd be willing to give my soil to. You know.
That's
oh my God.
weird too.
Oh my God. I don't know
Move
why.
on to the next question because these answers are getting weirder and weirder.
It's
Who wants some soil?
a plant grows inside soil. It gets all of its nutrients.
Anybody
from
in the
soil.
market for soil?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. See, the real ones who are listening to this are like, yes, give me some soil, Enoch, because you're going to give me nutrients. I'm going to grow strong with it.
Go strong. Spread the soil. Anyways, the follow-up question to that is, have you seen this in examples of this in your life?
Okay, so are we talking specifically just...
The soil?
I'm done with you, Blair. Are we talking specifically like romantic love? Or are we talking about just love in general?
Well, let's talk about both. I think both are relevant here.
In general, yeah, of course. I watched my mom sacrifice everything she had for her children. Like, I would say that I have a mom who's second to none in the history of mankind. Like, if there is a book on how to be a mom the correct way, she wrote it. So that's what I will always say. So I watched that and I had an example of that throughout my entire life. I also think I have the best big brother in the world. I think that, again, if we can write a book about big brothers and everything, like, he was always my role model in terms of how I wanted to be a big brother to my little sister when she came along. So I would say that those are easy examples. And then I think my little sister, I really do have a dope family. I think she has been the greatest little sister I could ever imagine having. Like, again, when she was born, I felt like, how parents feel like they have all these ideals for their child and stuff like that. I felt like I had all these ideals of what my sister could be and become and stuff like that. And she's blown all of those out the water. So she just surprises me every day. So, like, yes, I have had great examples in those terms of love. Now, when it comes down to, like, romantic love, not so much. I can't think of any example. They would have to be a movie or television or book example, which that's all fictitious love. So, like, to actually know and watch two people love each other, like, personally, I've never had that. I've never experienced that in my life.
Do you think that makes it difficult to find?
I think it makes it difficult to fathom. And then by not being able to picture that love, I think it makes you picture it in other instances. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is you project those instances on what you're currently finding.
That sounds very dangerous.
It's very dangerous. I think that's why people, if you grow up in a household with a lot of trauma in it, you seek after that trauma. Yeah. Not because of anything you're doing, but it's just because that's what you know. That's your normal. Right. That's your typical. If you find something that's not traumatic, it's like, what is this? It's almost like finding something non-traumatic becomes traumatic.
Right.
In that case.
Because that ironically is safety to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I think statistics say that if you deal with an abusive household, you're more than likely to get an abusive relationship. If you've been molested, you're more likely to molest. Like, those kind of things are reason because you find and become the patterns that you have been exposed to in your raising, your nurturing, or lack thereof nurturing. And so that's a very dangerous thing to really perceive it from. So for me, never to have seen true romantic love, I can definitely say that I have projected false realities upon my romantic relationships a lot of times. Sadly enough. This is a B episode, guys. You get to know us.
This is a B episode right now?
This is a B episode, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, man. Put me on the couch, man. Put me on the couch.
We are getting a couch. At least we're planning on it. We'll see. It might take a little while. We gotta bring it here. But then we will have a place to sleep.
Love.
Naps. Anybody want to bring nap time back? Let's bring nap time back. Anyways, okay. So, no, I think that I'm thinking about as we grow up, right? We're like going through elementary school, middle school, high school. I feel like all through that we're like indoctrinated with society and the media and movies and everything that love is like romantic love is the only norm. And it's if you're not in that and if you don't find that, then you are abnormal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you that just seems so.
I mean, but it's so again, it's the people who believe in that are the people who. I mean, let's put it like this: your ideals either come from your household or they come from things external to your household. So, meaning the media. So, that's right. So, if parents don't raise their children, somebody is.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, the dangerous part about it is who is that somebody? Because that somebody is more than likely somebody who's not going to be trustworthy. So for me, like romantic love is not something I was ever like taught in my household. So it became Disney. It became The Notebook. It became those kind of ideals of that's what love looks like, which is completely dangerous and probably in some ways doomed my relationships from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a best friend other than you, who I was talking about this the other day about it. It was like one of the cycles I had to break was this nostalgic type of love.
I understand.
So it's like for me, I was one of those people like, oh my God, I would love to have known my wife since I was like 16 years old. She's seen me grow and all this kind of stuff like that. And I've always been very big on like, I think that's made me hold on to a lot of people from my past who didn't deserve to be held. And so
I feel you there. I feel you. Okay.
yeah. And now I'm at a place in my life. It's like beforehand, I didn't really necessarily want to just start new stuff. But like now I'm eager at like, I want to meet somebody who I have never known. I want to meet them tomorrow and I have never crossed paths. You are new to Atlanta and it just be somebody brand new.
We do a podcast on that too.
And I think that's growth for me because it's like the fact that we can both meet in our current phases of life and we can build from there. Like she didn't have to know the Enoch who was beforehand. Like, or she gets to explore that Enoch through the people who know and love me in that journey instead of actually having been there. And I get to explore the her that I didn't get to know through her letting me interact with her family and all that kind of stuff. And we just really get to learn and explore together. I feel like that's my new onset definition of the kind of romantic love that I want. That's not being built from Disney and that's not being built from the lack thereof in my household. It's something that now I get to define.
Yes. Okay. No, that's what I like is no matter how we are led to a belief, it can be default, right? It can be, the Disney and it can be your parents. And not all parents have a functional relationship. So even if everything like looks good on the outside, that doesn't even necessarily mean that they have a good functional loving relationship that they're modeling for you. Yeah. And so I think at some point you actually have to go back and redefine, well, what is love? And does this fit into like what love is and how I need to make sure that I am treated and how I'm treating this other person? Are there things that I need to work on within myself, like these different qualities that I got kind of from my mom or from my dad that I need to start working on to make myself more mature so that when someone actually does come along that feels right, that I can actually offer her the best of myself at that point.
Yeah, I've told you this quite a few times. It's like, you're lucky to have what you have and that you've seen what your parents have. But then that also makes you unlucky because then now that's your expectations of when you see the real thing, you realize how hard it is to build the real thing.
It is.
And that's a pressure in itself. So good luck, buddy.
The other thing I don't like about society is I feel like it gives us time limits. I know I think probably especially for women, right? You're like getting around the age of like 27, 28, getting into your 30s. Peggy. Getting in your 30s and then like, you're like, you're not married yet? You don't have a kid yet? Like, you're getting...
You're behind. You're not adequate. You're not those kind of things.
Of all things, I don't think love is something that can or should be rushed. And I feel like we put too much pressure on it. And
just because you are married and have a kid by 26 doesn't mean that that's a happy marriage and doesn't mean that that's a kid who's being born into a happy situation.
Right.
So I'd rather wait and do it. I don't even want to say do it right, but do it in a sense that I'm most prepared to love that person the way they deserve to be loved and then love that child the way him or her deserve to be loved. That can happen at 22. It can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but as of right now, I know I personally couldn't have done it at 22. So it's like I would have been ill-equipped at 22.
I don't know. I think I could have done it.
Well, hey, good. Hey, that's good for you, buddy. Like I said, Enoch McKee, could not have done it. But if Blair Smith could have, yeah, then it wouldn't have been. I would have been a great godfather. Because godfathers get to hand the kid back, so that's always great. So yes, so I guess I did want to ask this question. What do you think is the biggest change that you have personally had from, I'm going to say, non-adult Blair to adult Blair in terms of how you perceive love?
I think it's probably that love is more than a feeling. I think that love has a component of feeling. Like it's more like there's attraction there. There is just care between two people. There's admiration, respect, and I think all of those qualities have feelings, and I think that's a combination of them that we feel when we say this word of love. And we can feel that, but it takes more than just that feeling to succeed in relationships. I think it takes a choice. You have to. There's going to be tough times in relationships. There's going to be amazing times, and we should remember those, and we should hold on to them. They're like the precious petals of a rose, but the rose also has its thorns, and I think we have to be prepared to bleed a little bit from those thorns in our relationship.
Okay, so bleeding is fine, but soil apparently isn't. I'm seeing the audience's reaction, and they're like, "Oh yes, thorns, yes, yes, yes. I'm ready to bleed," but I say I want to give you some soil, and they're like, "Soil? He trying to put me in dirt." Like, no, it's not what we're trying to do. It's not what we're trying to do. But no, that was a great analogy, buddy.
Back to my rose. My point is that it brings me back to my previous relationship, where I think that we did have a lot of love between us. Not that you can put a quantity on love, but
Pause. There's a noise. Earlier you kind of plugged it, so I thought it was the cord.
Okay.
the buzzing went away?
Yeah.
Cool.
Remember 25 minutes. Write that down as a note.
Or we can pop it again.
No, we are not going to pop it.
Ready? Okay. Anyways, I think that in my previous relationship, we had love between us. But when things got tough, I don't feel like we did a good job of fighting through our issues back to each other. And if you want love to succeed, you have to be willing to do that. Even if there is pain, even if there are things within ourselves we have to overcome to do that. Because, I know there are sometimes, especially in love, maybe more than any other circumstance, where there are parts of us that we expose that we kind of feel are ugly. And we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and to actually be seen. And hopefully that love that is between you and this other person actually overcomes what you feel is ugly and actually makes it more beautiful to you. So love is more than a feeling. Love is a choice, especially in times when things get rough. That's what I've learned.
Wow. Okay.
And roses are better than soil.
You learned that today?
Yep, I did.
Okay. No comment. I would say if I had to sum up what I learned, I had a little bit more time to think about this.
I'm sure you did.
I would say that what I learned from non-adult Enoch to adult Enoch is that no matter that you really, what you see in that person, you can't see for them. So meaning that like just because you see it in them and you see that potential, you see that growth, you see that beauty, doesn't mean that they will ever see that in themselves.
Are you attacking me right now?
No, I like I said, I've been that guy in the relationship, and I see you as beautiful, but you just could never see yourself as beautiful, and there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. You are completely helpless at that point. They are never gonna see themselves as beautiful until they decide to see themselves as beautiful, and there's nothing you can do to show them that. You can't show them their potential. You can't. I mean, really, this is even bigger than just romantic love. This is friendships. This is everything. Like I've had to let go of friends. Like I don't care how much potential you have, but you're never going to see it. So our road has ended. You know, I wish you the best, but that's just it's because at the end of the day, it gets to a point where it becomes you pouring in water into a plant that they won't into a place that they won't even plant a seed. Like so, there's no way it's gonna ever grow. Yeah, I'm just making mud at that point. I brought the analogy back, and I think it's good. And so it becomes, like I said, it's always going to be a two-way street with love. It's never going to be a one-way street. You never want it to be a one-way street. You always want it to be a two-way street. So hopefully the people who you're choosing are a person who's willing to drive on the highway with you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
That's funny. I had an analogy for love a long time ago. So I'm about to go into it. But, okay, so it seems like what you're saying is that love cannot overcome everything.
No.
Okay. Then okay.
Because it's not, because to me, if what I'm saying isn't true love yet.
Okay.
Because you've never, if you see a potential that they can't see, then if that seed is not there already, then you two would never grow to love each other. You can grow great feelings for that person,
okay,
but you would never grow to love each other.
I see your point. Okay. So I have this analogy for especially romantic relationships, but really any relationship. It really does apply to any relationship. If you have a bridge between like two people, like this side is you and this side is the other person, and the bridge is built really well, but it has to be maintained, right? But you can only come to your half of the bridge. The other person has to do all the work on the other half of the bridge. And if the other person does their side, then that's great, and the relationship can flourish because that bridge is free flowing and is doing its job. But if that person lets their side of the bridge fall into disarray and become dilapidated, and then at some point, you know, it can just like completely crumble and fall through. And I think that we need to kind of see our relationships in that way, and that it can't be all one person that is doing everything. It has to be two people together, both people giving 100%.
Yeah.
To keep the bridge going.
Yeah, don't drive on broken bridges. Yeah, I agree with that one. All right, I believe this brings us to favorite part of the podcast.
Sounds good.
Movies, television, pop culture references. I'm thinking of this one. What is the greatest examples of BS love? BS love.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Okay, I think I can start this one off. I'm gonna do this one for my ladies. Disney. All of them. All of them. I think number one, a lot of times they did it better as time went on. But they really did paint women as creatures who were only defined by the men who were in the story. That's a disservice just to you ladies in general. And then it gave you this idea that Prince Charming was coming to save you. And the idea of someone else coming to save you is complete and utter BS. You can only save yourself. At the end of the day, Cinderella was going to have to figure out a way to get out of her abusive family relationship. No prince is going to be able to take her out of that. Because at the end of the day, the bigger thing is she's going to be under the psychotraumatic response of being in an abusive relationship. She has to get out of that. So she can go over to the castle and she can bring all them problems with her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and that's very serious.
Your outer environment does not change your inner environment.
It does not.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I said, I understand Disney. I love the cartoon movies just like everyone else did, but like it did a bad job on teaching us what love actually is going to look like. And again, it's children's movies, but I can't tell you the amount of people I've met and it's been like, that was my idea of love. Like I'm waiting for Prince Charming.
Sounds unhealthy.
Yes. Sounds like people who didn't see love growing up.
Yeah, it does.
You know.
It does. So you kind of just cling to what was.
To what you know. Yeah. What you wanted, what you perceived as the thing you wanted.
Gotcha. Yeah. Disney. Do better.
Well, they've started to do better. I think they've grown and learned a little bit.
Good.
I think Frozen was a great example of it.
Frozen was a great example.
So
I agree. Okay, keep it up. Keep doing better. There we go. Okay, I think you're gonna like this one. 500 Days of Summer.
Oh, man, Summer, that chick.
Yeah. Mm. So, I think the issue with that movie was he loved the idea of who he thought she was, and he was like filled with hope and filled with this ideal of like what love is, and that hope like carried him very far. It like pushed him to probably like do a lot of things that he may not have done otherwise. And then at the end of the story, it's kind of funny how their roles like reverse, and he's like his hope is gone, and she has like revitalized hope from someone who like actually brought forth these feelings of love from her. And so make sure that you're not loving the idea you have of someone. Make sure that you are make sure you're making an effort to see all of the pieces and sides of a person. And take it as you will and love them for who they are.
Yeah.
Because it can be difficult to differentiate between an idea and the real thing.
Yeah. Love them for who they are and not who you think they should be.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's a lot of times like I think you should be this, and that, and no one's ever going to meet that criteria. And I'm pretty sure the other person thinks you should be this, and that, and you're falling short of their standards as well. There's just a way that you kind of meet someone midway and you help both of you guys together. You carry each other up that higher ladder to like get to a higher plane. And that's the power of love. There would be no reason to fall in love if we can't become greater together than by ourselves. If I can become just as good without you, why would I drag your baggage with me? I'm 100%. Why? Why would I?
And the opposite way around too.
And the opposite way around as well. If I have too much baggage for you, then yeah. But the reason that we're choosing to take on each other's baggage, our scars, our past, our ideals, our hopes, our dreams together is because we feel that we together can build it and make it happen. Like, that's the only reason you give love a shot. Because love is going to be hard. It's going to test you. It's going to try you. It's going to beat you down. We just had a podcast about getting knocked down 7 times and getting up that 8. Mm-hmm. Love is going to knock you down 70 times, and you have to get up 80 times. And yes, I meant that math because that's how love is. It makes no freaking sense.
Yes.
None at all.
I'm with you.
But
I'm with you.
For the few glimpses that I've ever experienced it's been the most worthwhile thing that I've ever experienced.
So make sure that your love is more than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
Yes. Love it. Okay. What'd you learn about me?
That's just we're in that part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw it at me.
I'm a jump.
What did I learn about you today, Blair? Apparently you don't like soil, but you like roses. Just gonna bring it right back. Just bring it right back. What I learned about it is that this whole Peggy Blair union that they have behind camera and on camera needs to stop because it channels it towards me. You know, I'm looking directly in the camera. It channels it towards me, and they're not being fair to me as one of the hosts of this podcast. You know what I really believe I learned about you, Blair? You still have hope. You still have hope and love, which after knowing you for almost 8 years, I have seen that love go up and down, but even your watch has something to say about it. I have seen that hope go up and down, but I think it's at one of its highest levels right now. So that's good, buddy. That's good. Welcome back.
Okay.
What you learn about me?
Honestly, one of the things that I didn't necessarily know is not having the examples of love in your life. And that, honestly, I don't know, I have great respect and admiration for you in the way that I feel like you never let things go to default, or you do your best to develop things into a way that have your signature on it, if that makes sense. Like, you're not just going to like let what the media or what society or what a person in front of you is telling you be the end of it. You develop it into something that fits with who you are and what you've been through. It has your signature on it. So I don't know, that you took like from your life not having examples of this, and you went inside yourself and had to dig for what needed, like what love really actually means to you and what you need to give to the world to actually make that. So, and then I also learned what your thoughts are on Disney. So, yeah.
I mean, I do really like Disney. But, sometimes they just didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
They just did not. Okay, well.
I think you still have hope too.
It comes and goes.
I know. I was like, every time we talk, it's you're like, I don't think so. And I'm kind of, but I see it. I see there's like a little sparkle.
I'm in such a building stage that that I don't know. It's just like, for someone to come in and be willing to build with me like this, that's gonna take a special type of person.
No doubt.
And honestly, I don't know if I just want to put that on anybody right now. I mean, not even just anybody, but I think it's unfair for me to just put that on anybody. Like I said, my goal right now is grinding. It's a hustle. It's a 20-hour a day, 7-day a week type of hustle.
Love is not fair.
Okay, it's a period at the end of the
sentence. That was a period. That was it. That's all I got. Nope.
Okay.
I think that was enough. I think it was an explanation itself.
That's fair. Okay. Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
Still don't have hope, but appreciate it.
You have. I know you well enough. I've known you a long time.
I don't know. I proposed to a girl on this podcast. You guys might maybe have started, and
she didn't even say no. Yeah. I don't know what it is. This is limbo.
She just ignored it though. She ignored it. Like, everybody was like, Miriam, they everything, and she just hadn't even brought it back up. So it's just, I put myself out there, and then she's like, oh, okay, what about the next podcast? It's like, okay, whatever.
I think the problem is we need more comments of marry Enoch, Peggy. Marry him. And then I will be the efficient. And we got...
Tara can be the photographer.
Yeah.
We'll Stanley can be doing music.
There we go.
Leah can make the arts and crafts.
We got the whole setup.
We have a whole setup.
It's ready.
Yeah, we're ready. We have a whole team. We have a whole team ready for this wedding. Except for the bride. She is not ready at all.
We'll get it ready.
Well, I believe that was this episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
But before we leave, just a reminder, like, subscribe, comment.
Become a part of the podcast as much as you can. We want you to be with us.
Exactly. Like, I think we should have whoever gives us our next great comment, we're going to bring them on the podcast. If you are in the Atlanta, Georgia area, we will bring you on the podcast if you give us our next great comment. And we would talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yes. We would love it.
We would love it. We're going to wing it because that's what we do.
We do. Every time. We did not know how this podcast was going to turn out, but it went in the direction it did. And I think it did that way for a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. So, comment. You might be on here one day.
We'd love to have you.
We would. So, as always, I'm Enoch.
I'm Blair.